6.5 is the number that UConn is laying. I know they've been great, but what do we think of that number? Too big, too small, just right?
I think it's too big. Similar, I can equate that to Zach Edey. There's going to be an interesting theme if they're able to impose their will down low. And as much as people talk about, when you play against Purdue, you just got to speed the game up. That's not how UConn really plays. So UConn will take it in transition, when it makes sense. But for the most part, they're going to run their half-court sets. And I just think Clingan is talented. I don't think he's going to be able to stop Zach Edey from getting so low to the bucket. And if Zach Edey gets that close to the bucket, I think you might see Clingan in foul trouble. I think that's too big of a margin. I think this game's going to be a light tighter down the stretch.
The line move here has been fascinating. The projection was UConn 5.5. Then it comes out around 6, gets bet up to 6.5. We saw it go all the way to 7.5. And then there was resistance. And that's interesting because it was the exact same thing that happened with the Alabama game. We got resistance at 12.5, down to 11.5, as low as 10.5, and then, of course, UConn covered. I agree with Jay. I would play the 6.5 here. Purdue's coming off one of their worst games we've seen in a while. Was it 13 turnovers or 16 turnovers a season high? They were minus 5 in turnover differential. They still won the game by 13 points. So I lean towards taking the points here.
Absolutely. Make it 3 for 3. Luckily, we don't have that bar there. But I think this is going to be a lot closer than people suspect. It's a lot of points, especially for a total that continues to come down as well. So like Jay Will said, down the stretch, it's going to be a lot closer than people suspect. But look, Zach Edey, he's been great the entire tournament. Purdue's still a #1 seed for a reason. I know a lot of people didn't have much faith in them considering what happened last year in the NCAA tournament, but they're still #1 seed for a reason. They're a really good team, and I think they can give UConn a run for their money, so I'll take the points.
Wow. We'll have Sean Farnham on later in the show. We'll see if he makes it 4 for 4 on the Boilermakers. I'm kind of surprised that no one's jumping on UConn because all they've done is reward their backers, not only every game this tournament, but last tournament as well. They were 6-0 ATS.
Purdue has too.
Great point. Purdue's 5-0 ATS as well. Let's talk about the total here, Jay. 9 of the 10 games these two squads have played have come in under the total in this tournament. We're sitting at a $144.5. How do we feel?
Joe, I'm struggling on this one. I really am. I think I'm going to take the over. Now, I know Purdue, they average around 69 possessions per game. Last game, they had 63 possessions. They're going to try to slow down the tempo of this game. But at the end of the day, Purdue's going to play inside out, and UConn's guards are so good. I think we are going to have a high point total. I mean, that's around, if both teams get to 75, that's going to be over. I'm going to go over, barely, but over.
I can see that. The good news, if you're playing the over, is you're getting a bargain basement price here. Open 148.5. Now it's down as low as 144 at some shops. So if you're playing the over, this would be the time. 3 concerns with that. Number 1, Jay Will alluded to it, the tempo these two teams play at. They're not looking to get out and transition and run up and down the floor. Number 2, top 12 defenses in terms of efficiency. That can be problematic when you're trying to put up a big number. And then number 3, I'd look at a potential for shooting regression tonight. Both teams shot 40% from deep on Saturday in the Final Four. Tough number to sustain, so if that falls off, it does lend itself to an under. I lean towards the under, but again, it's a tough play, having seen the total dip already 4 points.
I was ready to attack the first half total, which was at 69.5 last night, even during the day, and then now it's down to 67.5. So I can't advise anybody to bet that, but again, it comes down to the same thing that you both are feeling, and that's that the tempo will be a lot slower. Maybe we see some shooting regression as well, but it's really just a different way to play the game rather than playing the game total, because you always worry about the free throws at the end of the game as well, especially since it keeps coming down. So if you're interested in playing the first half total, I don't like it at 67.5, but I will say maybe you can live bet.
Jay, one thing on Zach Edey.
Can I tell you guys something real quick? Being in that gym though, guys, like I literally went to the half court and I took some shots there. Like the depth perception is not similar to other arenas that we're in because of the backboard. So like you got like these massive video monitors behind that help you gauge. Hence why I think Purdue didn't shoot as well the other day. But I don't think this is a poor shooting gym. I actually think it's a decent shooting gym. Obviously, Alabama was able to shoot 70% in the first half. Just from a player perspective, it didn't seem as difficult to gauge that distance as it has been in the past for me when I've stood on courts.
Did you make any of those shots you were taking?
Where's the vids?
All right.
Don't do that to your boy. Don't do that to me.
The people want to know.
I'm not out here
It's
like
a good
Seth Greenberg
follow-up.
missing shots. Come on, man.
All right. We got to the bottom of that. I want to get to the bottom of something else. Zach Edey, if you take his points and you combine it with his rebounds, the prop for that is 36.5. points plus rebounds, was 37.5, got bet down. He's put up big numbers in that department throughout the tournament, but he was held under this in the NC State game. That matchup with Klingon tonight, how do you see that playing out?
I actually think I would take the over, because I think what you're going to see tonight is Zach Edey really try to get deep post position. You know, one of the reasons he couldn't do that against NC State is because DJ Burns weighs about 350 pounds. That was an immovable object. All right. Now, Donovan Klingon is longer than DJ Burns. DJ Burns has like T-Rex arms, right? He's longer, but I don't think he has the size to stop a guy like him getting close to the bucket. So they're going to dig down. They're going to force him to be a passer, maybe off the second dribble. So I think what you're going to see is Zach Edey try to be way more aggressive offensively with that deep post position. I think he's going to have a monster game. I think what you're going to see UConn try to do is try to limit everybody else. So, yeah, on the second dribble you might go, but you're going to try to get back to those perimeter shooters and not allow them to make 10 threes like they made in their last game. And if UConn can shut down those shooters, that's how you're going to win. But I think Zach Edey is going to be set up for a monster game. I'm going to take the over.
All right. Jay, well, thanks for joining us all college hoops season. Enjoy the game tonight, and want to come back for the NBA playoffs and hang out with us?
Will I be your favorite during the NBA playoffs, or that still be Shanae? I'm confused.
I mean, at least sixth favorite.
We can talk about that.
We'll figure that out later.
We're on the Rushmore.
My bad. Klingon versus Edey. Just the second matchup of starting 7-footers in an NCAA tournament title game, joining Ewing and Olajuwon from '84. How about that company? So what's going to happen tonight in this matchup? Who's going to win it?
I think if you look at the individual matchup, it favors the side of the Purdue Boilermakers. I mean, Zach Edey has been the best player in the country all season long. On the biggest stage, you look at the best player and say, this guy's got to show up. And I've never seen Zach Edey not show up. And he's been driven as much as anybody this year. And when you look at Donovan Klingon in particular, it's some of the games he's rarely seen length. He certainly has not seen the length of Zach Edey. But others have been able to disrupt him not only at the offensive end of the floor, but also apply pressure at the defensive end. And I anticipate that Zach Edey gets to the free throw line more than 2 times, which is all he got there on Saturday night.
Yeah, that could spell foul trouble for Klingon if he's the one guarding Edey as he goes to the line. By the way, in that game in '84, 15-9 for Olajuwon, just 10-9 for Ewing. But his Georgetown Hoyas got the win over the Akeem and Clyde-led Houston squad. All right, 9 of the 10 games these two teams have played in this tournament so far have finished under the total, all 5 of UConn's. Why have they been under teams, and does that make the under a strong play tonight?
I don't even know what the over-under is, partner, but I'd say go ahead and take the under on this one. Possessions are going to be really low tonight. I think the value of the basketball, the value of making the ball shift side to side means fewer possessions in the game. And usually when we get to National Championship Monday, everybody's a little bit tighter early in the contest. It's who exhales first that allows themselves to find their rhythm a little bit quicker. I think both teams are really good defensively. Obviously, we know UConn has been so detail-oriented throughout this entire NCAA tournament, not only this year but also a year ago when you look at the spreads in their tournament games. But I think this Purdue team the other night played outstanding defense against North Carolina State, and that was the big reason why they were able to win that game.
144.5, as it says on our screen there for our viewers at home. That's the total. Farnham says
take the under.
Yeah, he doesn't even need to see it. He's taking the under there, which, as we showed that graphic, surprising because these are 2 of the top 3 teams in offensive efficiency in the country this season. But measured possessions, dialed up defense, according to Farnham, he likes the under, which would make it just what we've seen from them all turning long. Now, here's another nugget, Sean. Both these teams are 5-0 against the spread this tournament. So which team finishes the tournament 6-0 ATS?
I'm going to tell you right now, like all tournament long, I have said that I thought that UConn was going to win the national championship and that they have not been defending, but they have been hunting a national championship. After what I saw nothing that would disrupt that except for the fact that Zach Edey plays for Purdue. So therefore, I'm going to say Purdue is going to end the night winning the national championship here in Phoenix. I think that Braden Smith is going to have a much better game than how he played on Saturday night. He had his worst shooting performance he's had all season long. Turnovers are going to be a key. If you're looking at one stat in this game, it's Purdue in their 4 losses, averages about 15 turnovers per contest, giving up almost 19 points per game. If they just simply value the basketball tonight. I'm confident enough in their three-point shooting, and I'm confident that the best player in the country is going to get to work down low in the paint.
That's not just a cover for Purdue, but an outright upset win as a 6.5-point dog for Zach Edey and the Boilermakers. Sean Farnham.
You know what they say here in Phoenix, by the way? Do you know what they say here? These guys behind me, they say, boiler up. That's what Matt Painter will be saying tonight.